Do you want to know how we keep hundreds of carpet pythons? Let's find out in this video. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I want to show you our cages, and we'll very briefly talk about the beautiful display cages in the office, but we'll make a dedicated video about those and all the functions they have, the light options, even simulating thunderstorms in a separate video. So we will focus on the breeding cages and we will show you exactly how we keep hundreds of carpet pythons here and how we set up our cages. Enjoy this video. So when we are talking about cages for reptiles in general, or now our carpet pythons in specific, then you have some general rules that you need to follow. Of course, the cage needs to have the right temperature, you need to have the right lighting, and it must be big enough for the species you are keeping. At home, so where you are watching this video right now, you'll most likely prefer something like the beautiful setup that you see behind me, like one of our show displays over here with some perches, natural background, natural bedding, and all that stuff. So, of course, this looks absolutely fantastic. It's like a piece of art and a really special kind of furniture for your living room. Since carpet pythons are arboreal snakes and really like to climb, cages like these have the huge advantage of giving them the chance to lay different levels, different heights. And so this is obviously really, really great. And of course, you can also put living plants in these cages, so you can have a bioactive setup. The problem is that it's quite hard to keep them clean and maintain them when you have many of them. So with the amount of breeder carpet pythons that we have here at StarPythons, it's sadly no option for us to operate this kind of cage only. So we need to rely on dedicated cages for breeding. So let's move to our breeding cages that you've most likely seen before in our facility tour video. If not, check that video out later. These cages look much different compared to the display cages that I have just shown you, but they still match the needs that the snake has. So these cages are made of melamine faced chipboard, and all the corners all around are sealed with silicone to make sure that no water can get inside there. And they are 120 centimeters by 70 centimeters by 80 centimeters. So they offer enough space for our carpet pythons. As you can see, instead of the perches, and we used perches before in the very old cages, we decided to go with those platforms and found out that the carpet pythons actually prefer the platforms over the perches. So they have different levels and they can decide. We have a slight temperature gradient in here, and they can decide where they prefer to lay at the moment. Now, obviously, we use glass so that you can see the animals inside the cage. Makes sense. But I would like to highlight the kind of glass that we are using here. It's actually 6mm float glass, and that's quite important. Sometimes people in the hobby use like 4mm glass, but then, of course, it's much lighter, and the snakes might be capable of moving the glass. So the black rails you can see here, that's an E profile. So the glass is sliding in that profile. And since it's quite heavy, you can see that it's not really easy to move it around. I really need some force here. That prevents that the snakes, if they climb up the glass, it actually prevents moving the glass around. So we never had the case that one of our animals got out of the cage just by moving glass on its own. One thing that's also very important with reptile cages is the ventilation. Now, in our case, you can see that we have those plastic inlays here, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. So they allow for a constant airflow through the cage and make sure that we always have the air moving around inside the cage, which also helps to prevent mold. So let's start with the tech we are using inside our cages. And for the lighting, we use these LED lights. They are daylight LEDs, and they are basically positioned here inside the cage. So obviously you do not see them. As you see, the lighting is really bright. It's a bright daylight and very great to see all the details of your animals. All our breeding cages are equipped with such a Lucky Reptile Thermomat Pro and 40 watts. And that's actually, what's the term? Of course, it's on the back. It's a waterproof plastic casing. So it's suitable for wet surrounding. And that's, even though in our cages it's not really wet, but you can imagine if they tip over a water bowl, it can be common for them. And of course, you want to make sure that you do not end up here in some kind of drama. You don't want to kill the animal. So this is how they look, and I'll also show you a clip of how they look when installed inside the cage. And as you can see, they are sealed all the way around, so there's no way water can get in here and do any harm. Now we actually need to cut those off, but I'll show you exactly how we connect them later. So this is basically the spot where all our carpet pythons have the chance to soak up some heat. We set these to 36 degrees Celsius at daytime and 30 degrees Celsius at nighttime. Now, one thing that's always very important when you have any kind of heat source inside your cages is to run it with a proper thermostat to prevent overheating. As you can see, we directly connect the probe of our thermostats onto the heat mat, and we also use a special kind of aluminum tape to do that, because we found out the hard way that that's actually the best stuff that really holds the probe fixed to the heat mat. This allows us to always control the temperature of the heat mat directly, and we set them to 36 degrees Celsius at daytime and 30 degrees Celsius at nighttime. Now, another option to both heat up and light up your cage are those lamps. They are produced by different brands, and we always use the Lucky Reptile called Halogen Sun or Halogen, I do not know. And two different versions. We have a 35 watt version and a 50 watt version. It always depends a little bit on the temperature, the ambient temperature. But we only use them for our diamond python cages, where we really like to create the spot from above, like simulating nature a little closer than the heat mat. And for cages in rooms where there's no heat inside the room. And I'll show you what we usually do in all the other rooms around. Now, obviously, these lights can get quite warm. So whenever you use such a light, always make sure to use a cage around it so that the snake can't get in touch with the heat source at all. We also recommend cylindric cages rather than angled ones, because it's much more difficult for the snakes to hold on to the cylindric cages rather than to the angled ones. So the cages will live much longer when the snakes do not have any chance to hold on to the cage. Now, as I said, we do not use the heat lamps for many of the cages because we heat up the room. So for us, with the amount of cages that we have here at StarPythons, it's much more efficient to just have the heat mat as a spot inside the cages and then heat up the whole room around it. And I'll show you how we do this right now. To control the temperature of our central heating system here, we have thermostats, room thermostats in every room. And they are here, these Honeywell thermostats. I do not know which one this is, but it's available on Amazon, for example. And we set those to 27 degrees Celsius at daytime, and in the summer, 25 degrees at nighttime, and in the winter, roughly 20 degrees Celsius. So another really valuable piece of tech for us that helps us a lot when breeding our carpet pythons is this Saveris system by Testo in Germany. As you can see, it's wired, and all the data collected by this thermometer is moved directly to our server. And as you can see here on this computer screen, we basically have the floor plan of StarPythons, and you can see all the different thermometers at different locations inside the rooms. So this is really, really great, because the question is not if you know the temperature inside the room right now, then you of course can just use a very, very basic thermometer for that. But what at nighttime? What when nobody is around and you really want to see the curves, how the temperatures are changing over time? So this Saveris system is great for doing that, because we can actually monitor the highs and lows, and also how fast or slow the rooms warm up or cool down in the winter. And we can go back for years and years of data to actually analyze after breeding season if our temperature protocol was on point, if we reached the correct temperatures with the settings applied to the Honeywell thermostat. And this is a really, really valuable support for us to understand our temperature protocols and to measure the success of our breeding. So our cages are always arranged in modules. So it's basically always 3 cages upon of each other. That's one unit. Then there's a second tower next to it. That's a second unit. And in between, there's always this tech shaft. And if we open this up, you will see that this is actually the location where we have all the thermometers. This is where the wires, the probe wires, go through, and this is how we control the temperature of each heat mat. So every morning, first task here when the zookeepers arrive at work is they go through all the shafts to make sure that all the thermostats and all the heat mats are working properly. If one would fail, that's it's very easy to spot, because the temperature that it reads here on this thermostat will be wrong, and you know that you have to take care of it. And the other way around, for example, if the probe detaches from the heat mat, you'll also see it right here. So this double checking the tag every morning is very important to prevent any accidents. Now let's have a look at the interior of our cages. And as you've seen, we use wooden bedding. So this is some soft wood bedding that's really low in dust. That's important when you have many cages inside a room. You do not want to have dust everywhere. So make sure to buy a high quality softwood bedding. So another thing you will see here at StarPythons is that we use one-time water dishes. That's again because of the hygiene protocols. It's simply much safer to spare the step of washing up water dishes. Something could go wrong there. Someone could make a mistake. And so this is very safe. Just use one-time water dishes. There are several different manufacturers of these and also of the holders. And you should simply make sure that you have the best one-time water dish for the holder you are using. Lastly, you've seen that we always have 2 of these hides inside our cages. And these are actually just very simple plastic bowls that you maybe would use to wash out the dishes. And what we do is we simply use a hot air gun to soften the plastic. So you need to make sure not to melt it right away, but so that gets a little softer, that it's not breaking that way. And then we simply take a knife and cut out the opening of the hide so that the snake can get inside there. Then we make sure not to have any sharp corners And that's how you end up with a snake hide. That's probably not the most beautiful one you've seen. Of course, there are really great looking hides when you go into pet shops and all the stuff you can buy there. But then again, you have the thing of cleaning them. And we have, I don't know how many hundreds of those hides. And these are very easy to disinfect. So again, go and check out the cage cleaning video that I made to learn how we clean those. And for us, it's just really important to be able to clean them very easily. I hope you found some information that you can use for your own cages, and maybe you want to adjust something, who knows. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or leave a comment down below, and I'll be happy to answer all the questions you have. Also, make sure to check out our new merch shop that I'll also link down below in case you want to have one of those very nice, beautiful jungle carpet python mugs. And yeah, until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.